Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Complete Family Media podcast on the Complete Media Network. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. We are thrilled today to have join us a really fantastic guy. We're going to have a great conversation with one of the funniest, most philosophical, most creative individuals that we know. We're really excited to introduce Nick Mather. Thanks, buddy. I'm really glad you could join us today.
No problem. Thank you. It's great to be here. I think we're going to have a great time.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a really great time. It's a subject matter that I'm not familiar with, but I grew up in a family, obviously. I see a lot of families work, and the good things, the bad things I see. I observe you and see a really great family man, a guy that just seems to love his family, puts a lot of dedication into making sure he's a great husband, great dad, and luckily getting to meet your family, I see how well everything's turning out for you, and I wanted to use you as a really good example of a guy that's become a father and turned into a really great dad.
Thanks, Darren. I appreciate that. I don't know how much of that I feel is accurate for myself, but I appreciate that you've noticed that and that you see some value in it. So I'll try to do the best I can.
Yeah, well, no, it's inspiring. I really had some good examples growing up and some poor examples growing up. And, from the outside looking in, I can see some things that are really working for people. And I've always been, I've always admired the way you approach fatherhood and the way you are with your family. So it just seems like nothing in your life is more important than being a dad. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. It's definitely given my life like a lot more meaning than not having a family, for sure. So I would say that's accurate. I do try to be the best father and husband that I can be. You can always do better, but I would say that's accurate. Yeah, definitely trying to be a good father without being annoying about it, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
Some people can't be talking about their kids all the time, but
yeah, true.
I try to, moderation.
Okay, just tell me and tell our viewers and listeners, who's your wife, who are your kids, their names, and just describe them quickly if you can.
Yeah, my wife is Katrina. She's amazing, of course. I met her 12 years ago, and yeah, I've been with her since the day that I met her. We just hit it off great. Got married a year after we met. No, I proposed to her a year after we met, and then a year after I proposed to her, we got married, and then basically conceived that that night. Had our first child 9 months after that day, and it's been amazing. So we had a little girl named River. Then her brother followed 2 years and 3 months later. His name is Max, and he's a great little dude. So nice. Yeah, the $1 million family, as they say. Yeah, everybody's great. I couldn't ask for a better family.
And where do you live in the world?
I live in Langley, British Columbia, Canada.
Great. Great place to raise a family.
Yeah, there's obviously downtown areas in Langley that aren't so great, just like in Vancouver or New York or anywhere else in the world like that. But we live in more of a rural area with lots of farmland and lots of space in between the houses. So we're lucky, that we were able to get that. But also it's nice to not be congested, and you got the space to raise a good family, which is nice.
I got a couple pictures I want to show our viewers and listeners.
Okay.
Yeah, here's my favorite shot of you guys. Really great looking family, as I'm sure everybody agrees. Awesome shot of you guys.
Yeah,
and I've got another really great one that I loved seeing when you posted this. This is when you returned from being away for work.
Yeah,
you're pretty happy. It's a fairly recent picture back in
December.
in December, yeah, when you came back from Korea, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
And one more cool shot of you guys out on an excursion at a Whitecaps game. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
so
Nice.
yeah, there's the family. Yeah,
Yeah.
great, great to see some pictures so our viewers can yeah, put some faces to some names and
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't post a lot of pictures to social media really anymore. I'm kind of don't do that so much anymore. So it's, yeah, I still have those ones up, which is nice. So yeah, those are some of the better ones out there, with having a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's really great. Yeah. I I always find that you're very philosophical in your conversations. You always, try to have very deep and interesting conversations, looking at the different sides of everything. So I hope we can get into that today. You also make me laugh a lot. And I had a guest on a few months ago, and he told me about a Harvard study that says that kids, little babies, actually laugh about 300 times a day, and
Really?
adults on average only laugh about 17 times a day.
That's sad.
So there's a really big disconnect from, the laughter and experience of life we're having as a child, and also an adult, we don't have enough. And you do bring a lot of humor and a lot of fun to your job. I know you through work and through your brother. And yeah,
Yeah.
is humor very important to you and to your family?
Yeah, it is for sure. I mean, it's always been important to me. Uh, it's just a nice way to break the ice and to make people feel comfortable with you, and
Nice.
you to feel comfortable with them. If you can laugh with somebody or make them laugh, like you can feel closer to that person, and you just feel more comfortable around them, which is something I had to do, I think, because I'm not good at jumping into a situation with people I don't know and then just feeling comfortable, instinctually. It's just not doesn't work for me. I have to like
Mm,
get to know the people, like just kind of sit and wade in the water and get used to everything before I can truly be myself. So
okay.
that's something I've always struggled with. So humor is definitely a good way to break the ice and to kind of feel like you fit in. Because if you can make people laugh, they kind of are like, this guy's all right.
I
So
see. Nice.
one of those things. But and at home too, we're always messing around with each other, and my daughter and my son are always trying to pull pranks on me and trying to make me laugh and trying to trick me, and I do the same to them, and pull out all the dad jokes that I can because they're lame and funny.
You're right.
Yeah.
You make them laugh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm sure at some point that'll kind of die out and they'll be like, a lot. And I often do get the eye roll, from the kids, like, ooh, that's not working anymore. I gotta get some fresh material.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. I've heard from some parents that tell me that because kids go through so many different phases, they have a hard time sort of catching up all the time. They say that suddenly a kid's into a new phase, and it takes me a while to realize what this phase is all about. Suddenly, as soon as I'm on top of it, they're onto something new. Has that ever been a case for you?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like it totally is. It's like what was it? Just maybe 4 months ago, as the Rubik's Cube came back, and all the kids at school were playing with Rubik's Cube. So I had to figure out how to solve one with my son because he was really into it, and we wrote out all the algorithms and practiced every day, and he finally got it, and he could solve one in like a minute and 30 seconds or something like that,
Wow.
which was really impressive. I was really proud of him for that, and that's why I wanted to stick with it, because I knew he really wanted to. And there was a lot of tears and stuff at the beginning,
Yeah.
where it was just too much for him to remember, and he realized how hard it was to actually remember all the algorithms to solve it. But I made him stay with it and still practice it every day, and then he finally got it, and then he could just do it all the time. And it was a huge like learning
Cool.
experience for him too, that if you stick with something, even though it's hard, it's over time it becomes easier and easier, and the next thing you know, it's like not hard at all, and now you can apply that same information to all sorts of other things that are difficult in your life, which is a great thing to do, is to not let your kids just give up on something because it's hard, because After a while, it's not hard anymore. But anyway, back to your question. Yeah, just phases all the time, different phases. I mean, they're hanging out with kids at school who get into Pokemon cards, and then they hang out with someone else, and they're into Lego, and then they just jump around from one thing to another, and they got to have fidget spinners, and then they gotta have this video game, and it's just all influenced by all the other kids that they meet. So it is hard to keep up for sure, but it it's worth it to put in the effort to try to keep up and try to get to know what it is that they're into, even if it's only for a week. I mean, you're still building that relationship with your kid, that you care and that you are there to help them figure out whatever it is that they want to get into.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, things are going to be influenced from other kids, but yeah, it's good when you're able
Yeah.
to get life lessons like the Rubik's Cube. That's really cool. Yeah, because I do see a lot of people give up on tasks that they're not good at right away.
Yeah.
Immediately they struggle and they just put it aside and think, oh, I'm not good at that. I'll try something else. But to keep at it and keep at
Yeah.
it and actually master it, I think it's very rewarding.
It is, and it's one of the best lessons that you could teach to your children, or anybody for that matter, is to just whatever it is you're interested in, just stick with it. It's tricky at first, but you'll get it over time. And once you can learn that about everything, there's nothing you can't do really. It's great.
Is there other ways of teaching kids self-esteem?
Self-esteem, that's a tricky one for me, because I would say that I don't have like a high self-esteem. Like I try to, but I don't know, maybe how I grew up, it just didn't work for me, because I didn't have people telling me that I was great or really good at stuff, or whatever. Or not that they weren't, it's just that they didn't really seem to care about what I was into or what I was doing or what I was up to.
Okay.
So I don't know about that yet, because I mean, I think I'm raising my kids to have, a high self-worth of themselves and to be confident. I mean, that's what I'm trying, but
Yeah.
I personally didn't have that growing up, so I don't know if I'm doing it right. But and then yeah, it's tricky to know right now, and that's a tricky one, because people will just say, oh, just have confidence, just be confident. It's like, it's easy to say that, but to actually just be confident is, you can't just pull it out of the air and embrace it. I don't know how to do that, so
Okay.
we'll see. I don't know. Answer to
right.
your question is, I'm not too sure. I
Okay. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
yeah, I guess it's a learning experience for you as well as them. Yeah. So yeah,
absolutely.
well, I'm glad you touched on your upbringing and your childhood a little bit. Tell me, let's look back to the beginning and tell me about your father. Was it a good father-son relationship? How did that go?
Yeah, I know it wasn't great. My dad he was a really smart guy, and he was really he was really smart, but he was also an alcoholic, and a drug addict, and all sorts of things. And life just got away from him. And I think he's the kind of guy that should never have had children,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Like like, I think he did it because that was the time you met someone, you had a family, you had a wife, you had a family, and that's just what everybody did. And if you didn't, it was you're kind of weird. So everybody did that. But
Okay.
there's some people, yeah, like nowadays, like if you don't want to have kids, don't have kids. You don't need to have them. There's enough people in this world. I mean, don't feel the pressure from anyone. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. That's just as important as being a
Yeah.
good parent, to not be a parent if you don't want to be, because you don't
Point,
want to raise kids if you don't even want them in the first place. I don't know how many people out there are actually like that, but I know, yeah, my father and my mother, she's great, or she was great, but I don't think she should have had kids either. They just weren't great parents. They just didn't want to put the effort in to have good kids. They just had kids, and that was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't great. They just wanted to spend most of their time drinking and not having to deal with us. So I wouldn't say it wasn't a great relationship. I mean, but they were my parents, so I loved them, and I looked up to them for many years until I was old enough to realize, what was going on. And then it was more like, you know, not super excited about it, about who they
Right.
were anymore once you
I see.
realize.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you and I have similar to that. I don't think my parents were excited, when they found out they were pregnant, and all of a sudden life was going to take a shift that they weren't
Yeah.
expecting. Suddenly, responsibility and a lot of things that they really weren't ready for, and yeah, didn't seem to want to have that responsibility and deal with it. So I think you and I have bonded a little bit over those types of things. So
Absolutely.
did you learn anything that you currently use as a father from them, or the things that you saw that you have definitely changed and shifted so that you, can see that your kids will get a better experience than you had?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. I definitely took some stuff from my dad just about being strict, and I felt like I turned out decent because of how strict he was.
Okay.
And I don't think he was strict because he was trying to raise a good person, or maybe he was. Maybe he was. I wasn't privy to that information, whether it was anger or he was trying to raise good people. But either way, so I'm a bit strict with my kids. Like I won't. I just want them to grow up to be good people that can adapt to their environment and fit in with other people that they're going to be around. I don't want any of them to be, that kid that, won't do something, or has a weird opinion on something and nobody wants to hang out with them. And it's okay if my children have a different opinion or think differently. It's just about how to navigate that environment when they're with people so that they can fit in.
Okay.
Uh, and so I'd say I took like, yeah, a little bit strict, as in like I don't do like the, you do that 6 more times and I'm going to send you to your bedroom. I don't do that. It's just I try to calmly tell them, like, that's not a cool thing you're doing, and this is why it's not. This
Okay.
is selfish, or whatever. And if you do, and now you have to go to your bedroom for however long because you did this. You know what I mean? And they don't want to sit in their bedroom, they want to go play, so that bothers them, right? But the
Sure.
key is to, for me at least, is to not get angry about it, because whatever it is that they were doing, at least with my kids, it's not because they're trying to be jerks. They just don't know any better. So you have
Okay.
to
Nice.
explain to them why it's not a good thing to do. And then if they
Yeah.
continue to do it, you gotta, punish them without getting upset, of course, personally. But otherwise, I would say I took a lot of, like, what my parents didn't do, and I do that what they didn't do. You know what I mean? All the things that I was missing, that I wish that I had in a father or mother, I try to be that for my kids, because I know how it felt when I was a kid not getting that from my parents.
Examples, the things that you weren't getting that you are giving.
Oh, like I didn't get to play sports. I didn't get to do any extracurricular stuff. I didn't Anything that cost money was just off the table.
I see.
Anything that
Wow.
took effort from my parents was off the table. You know what I mean? It's just,
Okay.
unless they were into it too, like, you know, going to Expo 86, dating myself here, but I think I was only 5, yeah, at the time. But they wanted to do that, so we got to go. But as far as like baseball or football or hockey, like, no way. That they just, I mean, they made not good money, like average, I guess. But my dad drank a lot, so he spent most of that money
Yeah.
on booze, and same with my mom, and
Yeah.
it's just how it was.
Yeah. Um, I know we're supposed to learn a lot of things to how to be a man from our father, how to be a dad, that kind of thing. But do you learn a lot uh, to be a good parent from your mother as well? Was you talk a little more highly of your mother, I've noticed. Uh,
You know,
just that's just I guess the way it is. But
yeah.
did you learn some good things from her to be how to be a good parent?
Um, not really. I would honestly, I'd have not so much. My mom was great and she was nice, and it was kind of like my dad was the villain. So, and he was, our enemy, and he was my mom's enemy because he was just
Yeah.
such a So we bonded over that, and we were each other's outlet to talk about my father, and same with my brother. We all, when he wasn't around, we'd talk about it and
Okay.
try to figure out what to do about it. But as far as being a mother, no, like she didn't put in a lot of effort either. She did the best she could. She had to work, she had to make money because my dad was spending it all. And so she did what she could do, you know what I mean? We didn't, it's not like we had money in the family or anything, so it's just everybody had to work. So
Do you read books about how to be a great dad, how to be a great parent? Have you ever opened up a book and decided to learn that way, or are you
yep,
learning
yep,
from real
yeah,
life? Yeah, you do.
both.
Okay.
Yeah, both for sure. I did, because I did run into a bit of a thing with my children. Like, me and my wife were not religious, and so we found raising the kids and answering certain questions, like religion. If you're religious, there's a lot of easy answers there. What happens to people when they die? Why should you be good? Why shouldn't you hurt this person? Why, all this stuff. There's easy answers to that if you're religious. But if you're not religious, the answers aren't as easy. So
Okay.
there is a good book out there. Actually, I have it right here, and I did read this. It's called Raising Freethinkers: A Practical
Nice.
Guide for Parenting Beyond Belief, which is just how to like answer a lot of these questions, would not having to do with religion. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like what happens when you die, and what
Nice.
happens
Wow.
when all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I have read that book. I've read another book too. I highly recommend that one, Raising Free Thinkers. It's got a lot of good information in it. And I read another one just about how to, it's just like a book you could open up and go to any spot in that book, and it'd have really good information about, like for an example, like it would tell you like, oh, if your kid is interested in something and they ask you a question like, oh, where does rubber come from? You like, a lot of parents are like, oh, it comes from the rubber tree, or they might be like, I have no idea, let's look it up and get the answer. And in this book it would tell you, don't just give them the answer if you know it. Keep asking them questions. Well, where do you think rubber comes from? Or how do you think that happened? And because they're interested in something and they have this wonder about life, and as soon as you just answer that question for them, they kind of stop thinking about it. But you want to keep them thinking about it. You want to really do that. So you continue to ask them more questions about what they think, or get them to give you their best answers for it, and it kind of keeps the wonder alive for longer. It makes things more exciting for sure.
That's really great. Who's
Yeah.
the author of the first book that you just showed us?
Dale McGowan and Dale McGowan, Maureen Matsamura.
Okay. Well, cool.
Yeah, I think Dale McGowan is the main guy, and he's written a few other books about parenting, and they're really good.
I have a
Highly
book
recommend.
that I want to recommend. We have reached out to this author, and I think he's going to be a podcast guest for us very soon. I want to show
Nice.
you a book that seems to be good. It's something that I've yet to read, but I plan to. And it's this one here. It's called How to Be a Great Dad, No Matter What Kind of Father You Had. And
Ooh.
there's a lot of really interesting things about the author, about the book. If
Yeah.
you look online, Amazon, and I'm very impressed with the things that I saw. The author's name is Keith Zaffron,
Yeah.
and it's kind of cool that he puts it down to no matter how great a dad you had or not, because probably a lot of us are wishing that our fathers at that moment were better, and we can still be great dads even
For
though
sure.
things
I
aren't
I think,
great.
yeah, I can't speak for people that had great fathers. I had friends who had great fathers, and I was friends with them, and wished, really wish that they were my father. But and they've grown up to, a lot of them have grown up to be great people. And so yeah, I think the, you know I don't know. I don't know how it works. You know, the worse your parents are, the better you'll be. I don't, or I know some people have terrible parents and they're terrible parents. So I don't know how it works or what dictates the other, but you know, if you care, you know, it'll happen, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I guess we never know, you know, how it's going to turn out, because
Yeah.
that's just the life we've already led. But you know, I think most of us that grow up wish things were better, and then hope, you know, you don't carry on if you do have a family, you don't carry
Well,
on the
I think you
troublesome
can I think you can
issues.
learn a lot from a bad parent, but I think you can learn even more from a good parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Growing up with either or. Yeah.
of course, yeah. uh I think a lot of times people don't realize how much a dad does matter about a kid's development, how much an absentee dad can affect kids' lives, how much of what you say to your kids matter. Is Are you the type of dad that says, "I'm proud of you a lot, I love you," gives hugs, that type of thing? Is
Yeah.
it something that, you know, is free flowing for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I affection, I have that in spades for sure. I mean, I love hugging them. I hug them probably 20 times a day when I see them. Yeah, I tell them they're doing great at everything that whatever it is that they're doing. I mean, just to help encourage it. And and if they're doing it, they're probably decent at it because they're enjoying it. And people are usually decent good at what they enjoy. So yeah, I all the time. I wouldn't say over, like I don't do it too much. Like, you know, like I don't overdo it because I am worried about giving my kids like a false sense of, you know, accomplishment with something that isn't that great. But I mean, that's on a scale, right? Like if my son's 3 and he draws a picture, obviously it's gonna look pretty crappy. But because it's a 3-year-old doing it, you know what I mean? So you don't tell him it's crappy because he's 3. You tell him it's great and to keep it up and give him some ideas on how to do it better. I mean, that's usually what I do. If I see them do something and they're interested in it, or even if they're not, they're just doing it or whatever, I try to give them advice on what to do better. I mean, that's what I'm here for, right? I've been through it. I should, you know, I should give them some advice and some tips on how to do things the best way that they can possibly do it if I know better. I mean, there's some things they do that I have no clue about, so I can't give them any advice on it at all. I can just tell them how great it is that they're doing it and how awesome I think it is.
That's good. I think what I've heard, one of the most important, most crucial things is for a parent to make their kids believe them that they'll love them no matter what. So, you know, there's obviously going to be some misbehavior. There's going to be the potential of, you know, some bigger trouble as life goes on. I think if a kid believes that my parents going to love me no matter what, no matter what I tell them, no matter what I've done, they're going to love me. You know how important and crucial that is for kids?
Yeah, for sure, because that's true. You know, like I will love my kids no matter what, but I don't. It's not like giving them permission. No matter what you do, I will always love you, even if you do this bad thing or whatever. Like, because I think because they know by now that I will love them no matter what. But it's about if you know they do something and they've lost my respect, or they know I'm disappointed in them. Like that's the thing. You have to make yourself that person to them, that if you are disappointed in them, that it affects them, and they don't want you to be disappointed in them because they respect you and they respect your opinion. You know what I mean? So I would say, yeah, you definitely want to let them know that no matter what's coming down the pipeline, you're gonna love them no matter what. It's also kind of runs into keeping an open line of communication with them. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to be like, "Oh, you better not have done that," or "I'm gonna be really upset with you," because then they're just gonna be like, "Well, I didn't do it then," and you're not gonna get the truth from them. So I think to make sure you can take care of all that stuff, you gotta raise them in such a way that they know that they're in a safe place to tell the truth no matter what. they may get in trouble or punished, or there might be consequences to something they've done, but they need to know that it's better if they tell you the truth than to lie about it. I mean, that's the number one thing in our household is telling the truth. They know that if they've done something wrong, telling the truth will be safer for them than lying about it and then we find out.
You told me that you became a better dad in December of this past year. That picture I showed of them welcoming you home. You were away for work for a couple of months in Korea,
Yeah.
and you said that you came home and you just felt like you were a better dad. You just didn't really sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that experience and how that felt, missing them and coming
Yeah.
home and becoming a better dad. Just boom, that's great.
It was, yeah, it was a great experience for me just because I got to go to Korea, and I've never been to Asia before, so that was just a great trip for me, and I appreciated, everything that was going on over there. Is really cool. Uh, and then when I came back, because I'd been away from them for 2 months, but with social media and and technology, I'm able to talk to them pretty much every day that I was gone. So, but when I came back, it was just, yeah, it was so great to see them again, see my wife, see my kids. And when you're away from somebody or your family for that long, you just really appreciate seeing them again. So you really don't care about anything else. If somebody's dropped a glass of juice on the floor or something like that, like, you're not going to get mad about it because you're just so happy to see them and to know that they're in your life, and I had a lot of time away from them to reflect and to miss them and everything that they do, everything we've done in our life. It was just, yeah, it was just to see them again after that, like they say, time heals all wounds. It's kind of like that. It's just nothing, you know it was, yeah, it was amazing. And I feel like I did become a better father after that, just from that appreciation of not seeing them. You kind of get a taste for what is it like if my family was to be gone all of a sudden. Like, life kind of sucks when it's like that. I mean, it would, but I knew that they're still there, so life was still good for me in Korea. But you just get that, get that empathy for that side of it for sure. And it just makes everything, it puts everything into perspective, how precious life is and your time
Yeah.
with your family.
Well, you came back and had to go into quarantine. Obviously, we've had some quarantine times through this COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
You also told me that 2020 was one of the best years of your life. And
Yeah.
if they gave a poll to thousands of people, a very small percentage would say that 2020 was one of the best years of their lives. So
Yeah.
it's surprising to hear somebody say that. Why was 2020 one of the best years of your life?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't work anymore. We got shut down. Everything got shut down. I was being paid by the government to be at home and stay at home with my family. And I worked, you know, a lot like you. I worked 60 hours a week to, 72 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for a number of years. So I don't have as much time as I want to spend with my family. I just don't have that time. I'm at work all the time, right? I get home, I say goodnight to the kids and put them to bed, and then that's it. So, COVID came and we got shut down. Government was giving me money, and I'm just hanging out with my family during summer. It was a great time. We,
Nice.
bike rides every day, picnics, and it was amazing. It was great,
Yeah.
just sitting at home with the kids, drawing and teaching them stuff. And I think, yeah, we had to do school with them online for quite a while, which was really, it was hard at the time, but it was neat. A neat experience for me and my wife, because we had to learn how to do all the online stuff. We had to figure out what they were doing. We had to become their teacher.
Wow.
So that was all really, yeah, it was all really interesting. It's a lot of good stuff to know for sure. And then yeah, I just got so much family time that I had been craving for so long while I've been at work for so many hours. every week, you know.
Sure.
So it was amazing for me. But that's also because I'm also at home with a family that I like and I love. They're all good people. Like, you know, like I can't. I'm lucky. So some people might not have that. I don't know.
And I've seen you call them the best roommates that you ever had, and
Yeah,
you know, yeah, definitely
for
super
sure.
happy they're around.
Yeah.
So what was it like then in January when you returned to work and you started doing 60, 70, 80 hours a week?
Yeah.
How have those last 4 months been now that you tasted the, you know, lifestyle of being around them and suddenly, you know, not seeing them much at all? What was the transition and how did it go?
Yeah. It's it was also nice to get back to work for sure, but it was it was a change, which I also like too. I like change. I think change needs to happen. You need to switch things up to keep it fresh. So yeah, it was good for a little bit, but then after a while, I was like, oh man, I wish I was at home with my family again, for sure.
Yeah,
So I don't know. There's got to be something in there about how to have a happy life and work a certain amount, then be home for a certain amount. And I think there's probably some other countries that do that where you get more time off
mhm.
to be with your family, which I think would be a great situation. But yeah, it wasn't as good for sure, of course. But I hate saying that, during a pandemic, like I obviously we all want, COVID to go away and to never come back again. But there's been good and there's been bad with it.
Is there a possibility of you finding a way to work from home, have a job that you can be around your kids? This could be. Is this the best job you've ever had? And so, you wouldn't
Yeah.
look at a change, or yeah. Tell me about that type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is. I love what I do for work. Working in the film industry, in the set decorating department, where we're dressing sets or fabricating custom things
Yeah,
for for the show. I mean, I love doing that. I get to be creative. I get to work with my hands. I get to just do all that kind of stuff, which I love doing. I'm a creative person, so I do love my job. I just don't love how long the hours are. And if I
sure.
could somehow, change that, I would. And I know some people have, but it is hard to do, just to work a certain amount of time. You get used to a certain lifestyle, and certain paychecks. So cutting that down, wouldn't be great. It would be hard to live off of that. But yeah, if I was better at making money. I'm not good at making money. There's a lot of things I can do. I'm good at a lot of certain things, and I just don't know how to make money at that stuff. But if I could, I would definitely, stay at home, build things and sell them or something, so I could spend more time with my family if I could.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm glad you have that creative outlet. I need that myself.
Mhm.
We, work with a lot of people that are very creative and need that creative outlet. But a lot
Yeah.
of people, were shown, the creativity aspect is great, but being around, kids. Scott Holborn also told me that 2020 was the best year of his life. He couldn't believe how great it was to have that much time with his kids. Him and I got to do podcasts like this.
Yeah.
He just really had so much fun. And then I have to see him and you go back to that 60, 70, 80 hour
Yeah.
a week lifestyle at work. And it sort of, hurts my heart a little bit because it makes me think, geez, they experienced this great, great, great year and because they were close to their family and now they have to be pulled back to earn the money, they have to
Yeah.
be away from their family. And so I wish
Yeah.
there was a way to have that work-life balance just so much better.
Yeah, me too. I wish that there was some sort of magic formula to make that work. And there probably is. You just have to, like, my wife is a hairdresser and we have a hair salon at home. So it works out perfect for me because I'm at work a lot. So she can make her own hours. So she gets to raise, the children when I'm not around.
Nice.
And then we don't have to, get someone else raising our kids, babysitters or nannies or whatever. So
Right.
that's a good situation. I don't know how people do it where both of them work in the film industry, or one of them does and one of them has a regular job. None of them would get to see the kids that much. So it's a
Yeah.
good situation what we have for sure. And my wife is a great mother, so it's, the more time she can spend with the kids and raising them, the better for me.
That's
And
great. Uh, we've been hearing quite a bit lately of Bitcoin as a way of making money, as a way of getting some financial windfalls. Also, a new creation called NFTs,
yeah,
and I heard that you're trying to dabble yourself a little bit into that world. Tell the world about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and yeah,
yeah.
what do you know about that world and what you're going to be starting to create?
Yeah, I just learned about it recently from a guy I worked with, Ryder Have Dave, and he had created something for like of an NFT, and I was like, well, what is this? I have no idea what this is. Then he kind of told me all about it, and then our mutual friend Corey White, who you talked to recently, probably mentioned this to you.
Yeah.
We're working on an NFT
So
to release,
so
and
happy about that. Yeah.
yeah, me too. And I still have to say I'm a little bit confused about how the whole thing works, but I do know it's a unique piece of it doesn't have to be art. It can be an article or a document or a picture, and it's somehow linked into a blockchain, just like cryptocurrency is, and it's got a very specific number,
Yeah.
and then you can sell a certain amount of them, and the person who made it, continues to get a portion of the profit every time it's sold. So it's like really good for artists who are selling something. They can continue to make money off of their own art for years
Right.
to come, or their family can continue to make money off of it. So
Yeah.
I'm not the best person to ask about it, but I am helping. I am designing a piece of art.
Okay.
Between me and Corey, we are making a piece of art for him
That's great.
to release as an NFT. And I
That's
hope
so great.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the 20th anniversary of the Bone Cracker.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Well,
excited.
I think you're an amazing artist. I really appreciate everything I've seen you do.
Thank you.
You also dabbled in the world of tattoos and wanted to be a tattoo artist for
Yeah.
a bit of time. You have a lot of art on your body.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, tell me about that creative outlet. And you had wanted to pursue that at one point.
Yeah, I did. I thought it would be a great way to work from home or close by and make my own hours so I could help raise my family more.
Yeah.
Um, but so I tried it for a while. I got a tattoo machine. I watched lots of videos. I read books, and I had many friends who were more than willing to let me tattoo them. Some of them I regret, but most of them turned out pretty good.
Nice.
Uh, so yeah, I did that for a little bit, and it was difficult. I give kudos to all the tattoo artists out there who are making a living out of it. It's difficult, and the stress of doing something permanent on somebody it's tricky. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. I would be very nervous about it because I don't take that sort of thing lightly. I want to do like the best job I can possibly do. So
Yeah.
for me, it was a little too stressful, and I'm not someone who normally carries a lot of stress. So I felt like that probably wasn't a great thing for me to get into if it was causing me that much stress.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
but it was fun for a little while, and I tried it, and it was an interesting period of my life for a little while there.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you realized, that there was stress to it that you didn't want to have in your life because stress is a killer and,
Yeah,
can harm your health. So,
that's right.
yeah, but, I'm glad you pursued it. So you didn't have regrets of never going after it.
Oh yeah, you
And
gotta try. You gotta try. You gotta
yeah.
check it out.
I find that you do a lot of creative videos too. And I want to play a few videos that you've created, you
Okay.
and the kids. I
Yeah.
want to first post or show one of the videos that you recently put together, and I showed it before, and this is a video for the band Showcore.
This was done on a budget. Keep in mind, and the budget
Okay.
was zero.
Okay.
and it was filmed with phones.
Tell my mother I'm stoned out on the streets again. High on free joint rock, 'cause I'm a riddling. 100 miles an hour is blowing you away. Rock and roll.
Yeah, great. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Talked about it with Corey. Must have been fun to gather a lot of people together and create a video and
Well,
have it released. And yeah, I think it turned out really fantastic. I loved it.
thank you. Yeah, it turned out pretty good considering we didn't have a lot to work with. We had more audio video equipment that Terry, the guitarist in the band, he had this video equipment at the studio where we shot that, and we were going to use all that stuff, and it had gotten broken into like a week before we shot, and they stole everything. So we had to just use our phones and GoPro cams and stuff like that. So it was supposed to be something a little more, but it turned out really well for what we had. And it was great working with Corey and working with all. Corey's like, he's a great guy to work with. He's awesome. He's just really creative and friendly and accommodating. It was a little weird for me because that was the first time I met all the rest of his band members, and so I'm not great in those situations, just jumping in, meeting somebody, and then running with it. I'd like to get to know people a little bit better first, and but I think it turned out good.
Oh, it turned out really great.
It
And
was fun. It was fun.
yeah, it must have been fun. Yeah, I was really impressed and happy that it came together like that.
Mhm.
I love this little video you and your brother put together. This was hilarious. And I think you got entered into a bit of a contest too. This was
Yeah,
fun.
some weird little internet contest.
Piece of crap. Whoa. What?
Yeah, so those are fun. Those are great to see, and you get to be creative, have some fun with
Yeah.
your brother, and do some things. It has seemed to also inspire your kids to be creative as well. Yeah, your kids. I want to show some really quick, fun videos
Yeah.
that they've done.
Sure.
This one was during COVID time, keeping them active and busy. This is called "What's in the Box."
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of What's in the Box. So, Max is going to go first. So, I'm going to go get something for him. And Max, you go over there. Why? Max! Hey, Max, come on. Okay, I'm here. It's very scary. Don't look inside.
We laugh a lot.
So this is a bowl. Oh gosh.
Blueberries, blueberries.
Nope. Put your hands in. Is it blueberries? No. Put your hands in.
3 times
It's
blueberries.
blueberries. No, it's not.
4
I
times.
promise. I promise.
So many times.
What is it?
You really thought it was blueberries.
Put your hands in. I'm scared. Just put your hands in. Fine. All the way in. No. Ew. What even is this? Is this cream cheese? No. Butter? No. Sarah could guess it. I mean, you should smell it. You should like cook it. I can't smell it. I don't
Look at
think
his face.
it's very good. I think I know what this is. The coconut. Coconut what? Coconut what? Oil? Yes. Oh, it's coconut oil.
Yeah, that made me laugh. They have many things they put in the box.
Yeah.
That was a great idea for a game and something to keep them active and busy. Who came up with that idea?
That was their idea. I think that they watched some YouTube people, and that's like a thing, like a what's in the box. So it's, it's not original to us for sure, but it was it's totally fun. And I just set up the camera and let them do their thing. I walk away, and then I just edit it for them after. So a lot of fun.
Your editing is fun. You speed it up. You showed the blueberry. You showed the other guesses, that kind of thing. That's a place where you can be very creative, and they're being very creative. So a very bonding moment, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I try to get them up there with me while I'm editing it and get their input and show them how to do it, and because it's a lot of work. And I mean, some of those videos are like 3 minutes long, and they probably took me 12 to 20 hours to edit them.
Sure. Yeah. Do you see them wanting to get into film as you put together some of these great videos?
Yeah, as long as it's around them, they think of it and they like to do it. But if I stop doing it, or I'm at work for a while, they forget about it, and they don't realize it's a thing that they want to do. But whenever I do, come up with an idea, or they do, and we shoot it and edit it, they have a great time and they love doing it.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
I met a guy who told me that he was estranged from his father, and he was a player in the NBA, and his father was in the NBA, and he said he had a very poor childhood. And he thought he recently had a kid, and he said, I want to do a much better job to be a great dad to my kid. Similar circumstances, similar job. And I said, well, what are you going to do different? And he said, oh, I'm just going to give the kid everything he wants. And I said, pardon me? And he said, yeah, that's that's my example. I'm just going to give him anything he wants. I'm like, okay, like what? And he's like, just if he says he wants that bike, he wants that, he wants this, I'll just get it for him. And I was really stunned and shocked that that's what he thought was an example of a great dad. And so he would have a good relationship with his father, or with his kid, that he didn't have with his father. So I guess his father said no to some of the requests he had. Yeah. I was shocked by that. Are you shocked to hear that somebody would have their view of fatherhood that way?
A little bit. It sounds like maybe his common sense was lacking a little bit. No offense, but everybody's different. Because like for me growing up, it wasn't like I would ask and I'd get a no. I knew not to even ask because it wasn't going to happen. Right. But for me, I wouldn't. I don't give the kids everything they want, because you can just see the future of that. What's going to happen to your child if you just give them everything they want whenever they want it? I don't see that being a good way to raise somebody to be a productive member of society that's gonna get along with everybody. But that being said, I don't think you should say no to too many things either, or to a lot of things, like little things, like if you say no to too many things, or if you're the type of person that just says no all the time, even to little things, like can I have some fruit stacks right now? No, you can't. Can I go outside and jump on the trampoline? No, you can't. When it comes to a really big decision that your kid's going to ask you in the future, something that's very important, they're just going to go, you know what, they're just going to say no anyway. So I'm just going to go and do it without asking. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Okay.
just not going to mean anything anymore. So I don't think you should say no to everything, but I don't think you should say yes to everything and give them everything they want either. They have to, you need to use those as lessons and learning experiences when they want something, how to raise money, or how they go about getting what they want without relying on somebody else to get it for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um, would you give advice to a young father, maybe in your neighborhood, somebody that you saw, maybe wasn't doing a good job? Do you think you would feel comfortable giving advice?
I do give advice. I try to do it in such a way that it isn't going to offend them or them even know that I'm giving them that advice, because I don't think they're doing it right. And I also try to do it so that I don't look like I think my way is the best way, because everybody's different. Every kid is different. You can't just parent every kid the same way. Luckily, it's easy for me because I know how my kids are. It works for us, but I know there's kids out there that have learning disabilities, or there's many other things that could be going on that make that child different, and therefore you have to raise them differently. And I totally get that, and I totally respect that. So I make sure it's not a situation like that. But yeah, I'll definitely give advice to people if I think they're not doing the right thing. You know what I mean? I'll usually be like, oh, you know what, like, my son was doing that too, or my daughter did that too, and then I did this, and now they responded to that very well. And I'll do it without making it seem like I'm shaking my finger at them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Can you
'cause I
think
do.
of can you think of some examples that have at the time seemed really tough and really not great, but now you look back and laugh about it as a family or as a dad with your wife? Other times where you thought, oh man, I can't believe that happened, but now you
Yeah,
think, oh man, that's hilarious when we look back at it now.
yeah, basically everything that went wrong, every accident that happened, you look back on and you can laugh about it. I mean, and that's the great thing about surviving a situation like that, is that you get to look back on it and pick it apart and laugh about it, because you're all there, you're all healthy now. So it's a great way to do it. One time we were driving, my daughter was like maybe 2 at the time, and we pulled over because somebody was stalled on the side of the road. I got out to go help them, and we were parked in a parking lot. And while I was helping these people, and Trina and River were parked in this parking lot, she had wrapped the seatbelt beside her around her neck, and
Oh, Jesus.
she had pulled it out all the way, so it locked. So every time
Scary.
you pulled it in, it just got tighter. You could never. So by the time I got back, Trina had noticed, like, the seatbelt's around her neck and she's choking on it.
Oh man. Wow.
Yeah, so she went to go get a pair of scissors to cut the seatbelt, and then she came back, and then I just tried this one last thing where I held her head really tight up to where the seatbelt was coming from, and I was able to pull it off around her. Otherwise, we were going to cut the seatbelt, but it was pretty
Jesus.
serious. Yeah, pretty crazy. And we didn't even notice that she was doing that at the time. So it just shows you how quickly it can just get out of control. But now we can look back on that and tell River about it and laugh about it. And
Right.
not that it was that it was hilarious at the time, but it was one of those things. And my kids have broken lots of bones, and they're just kind of crazy, with that sort of stuff. And we look back and we laugh at it all, for sure.
I've noticed a lot of kids these days seem to be lacking their time with nature. They have a lot of inside activities, television. They have their devices. They will play video games, that type of thing. How important is it for kids to get out in nature and play?
Yeah, really important. Like, no matter how much they like playing video games or watching TV or movies, whenever you get them out into nature, they're loving it. They have such a great time. We also have a dog who loves getting out, so we got to take him for walks. And we're lucky enough to live around an area where there's just a huge forest around here, so we walk through the forest with the dog and the kids, and they just have a great time. And love every second of it. So it's just great. When they come back home, they're just refreshed and recharged, and TV and the phones and stuff just seems to bring them down. I mean, it just turns them into zombies. So, as much as you can, keep them away from social media and TV and all that stuff.
And you have a bit of a getaway place as well that you can take the family to on the weekends and during holidays.
Yeah, we got a little place in the on the Skaha Lake in the Okanagan at Okanagan Falls. So we get to go up there. We're lucky enough to have some family members who kind of own the area. So we go up there with friends of ours that have places up there as well, just little trailers out there, and we go water skiing and fishing off the dock. It's amazing. It's amazing. And the kids love nothing more than doing that. I mean, if they had to choose between video games and going to the lake to go fishing and tubing behind the boat, they would pick that any day.
And during COVID time, it's different, but what type of activities that do they do, extracurricular things? What have you got them into over the years?
Yeah, they both did jujitsu like 3-4 days a week. They're getting really good at it. My daughter was just amazing at it. She was probably the best in the class, even better than the guys that were a couple years older than her. She just had it all figured out. It was really, really good. We started entering them into competitions, but they ended up getting canceled, and then there was COVID hit, and it was just, so they never got to actually go into a competition, but they did that for 3 years probably. They got really good. It was just a great thing to learn, just knowing that your kids can defend themselves if they had to. And they also teach, like how to, turn a fight into not a fight, de-escalate the situation and stuff. I mean, that's always the best way to do it, but it was great. And it's great exercise, and it's just, yeah, I highly recommend it. Jiu-jitsu or karate or anything of that sort.
Yeah.
Also baseball. My son does baseball. He really enjoys doing that. That's a lot of fun. My daughter does a lot of dance. Had her in Girl Guides once upon a time. Also, yeah, like anything that you can get them into that you have time for is, the more things you can expose them to, the better.
I'm really glad that you have told me that type of thing, because, you said right near the beginning of this podcast that any sports you weren't able to get into because your family just didn't want to spend the money, didn't want to, spend the time.
Yeah.
And so, I'm glad that you've realized how important sports is, and, these activities for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my daughter really wants to start baseball now that she's seen my brother or her brother do it. And I practice with them outside all the time, hitting the ball, playing catch, and she really likes it. So I'm going to sign her up for baseball, and any sports they want to do. I'm totally into it.
Yeah, I've seen a few dads raise daughters, and have been able to see them reach very great heights with their sports, pay for their education, get scholarships to get amazing amount of great friends, get to go on fantastic trips around the world. It's so rewarding, and it just seems like you're around a lot of great kids as well. Around a lot of great families. So I think it helps. You're not bored. You're able to have an activity to go together. You make great friends, and you meet other really great couples that are doing the similar things to you.
I agree. Yeah, that's totally a great place to meet new friends for the parents and for the kids, for sure. It's a great environment to be around.
Yeah. So I'm super happy we've done this. Is there any other things that I didn't touch on that you thought I might have? Is there anything that you'd like to say to people about fatherhood and trying to be the best dad you can be?
Yeah, I'd just say the more you put in, the more you get out in the end, the more effort you put in, the better your kids will be. I think it's, like two people, like drawing a picture. If one person's going to draw a fridge and they just draw the frame and that's it, and the other person draws the fridge and they do all the details and everything, and they spend, an extra hour on it. I mean, there's going to be better in the long run, it's going to look way better. I mean, like I said, the more effort you put in, the more you'll get in the long run. And I mean, we all want to raise good people who are going to help other people out in the future and help fix this world. And, you know, you gotta put the effort in yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've really appreciated it. I know our viewers and listeners will love it. We're gonna post this soon on the Complete Family Media, on the Complete
Awesome.
Media Network, and yeah, I hope we can do this again. I'd love
Yeah.
to find out some more creative things that you're doing, and let's hope in a few years you're able to find a creative outlet that you can also do from home and be close to the family. So yeah,
That'd be awesome.
you're able to have, you know, year after year is great, and you're not away from them for so long, because
Yeah.
that's the thing I am disappointed about when I see these great fathers like you having to be away from their kids for so long. It's a really tough thing to witness, and I hope you know, eventually you know, we'll be able to see you home, and we'll be able
Yeah.
to just see you flourish so much with this great family you have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darren. I appreciate being on here, and I'm glad you started this aspect of your podcast, you know, to include families and fatherhood and all that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was very insightful for me, and great to hear. And yeah, thanks so much for your candor and everything that you've brought to us today. And yeah, I will let you know when it's posted, and yeah, we'll get it out there and let people know, yeah, how much I'm inspired by you, and I hope a lot of other people are as well.
Thanks, Darren. I appreciate it. You too.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, take care, Nick. I just want to say before I sign off, I want to thank our partners and sponsors: Anchor FM, Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company; Pampas and Possibilities, who design and sell dried florals, do floral arrangements; and Forever Living, the aloe vera company. They grow and manufacture aloe vera based products for health and beauty. So thanks to our partners and sponsors. Thank to all of our viewers and listeners, and thanks to everybody behind the scenes that does all the research and help. Appreciate you. Take care of yourself. Love you guys lots. Bye for now. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everybody.